Hola, buenos días. Today we will be discussing about los números, numbers in Spanish. But don't worry, we will only be discussing, or I will only require you to memorize 1 to 100, okay? The Spanish numbers from 1 to 100. And if you think that it's too much, don't worry, because all you need to know is to memorize the numbers from 1 to 20, and then some rules and some special words, and then you'll be able to get through and count until 100. Okay? So, vamos. I want you all to please miren. Miren, don't forget. Miren is to look. Escuchan is to listen. Escuchan. Remember from the last discussion, last module, escuchar means to listen. No? And of course, repitan. Repitan is to repeat after me. All right? So please, miren, escuchan, and repitan. All right, so there you go. We have the first digit right there. We have cero, cero, uno, uno, dos, dos. We also have tres, tres, cuatro, cuatro. And we have cinco, cinco. Muy bien. Now, I think for most of us, this is easier for us because we have a similar way of counting in Filipino as well. I believe we know these numbers already ever since we're little, no, we're young. So I guess we won't have such a hard time to memorize these numbers. And of course, that applies to those for us Filipinos, and for our international students. Please also put in more effort to memorize this. No, I do hope you'll do that, because you won't be able to move on to the next lesson, because our next, or the second part of this discussion, would be about telling the time. Now, you won't be able to tell time if you don't know the Spanish numbers, all right? So, moving on, we have seis, seis. We also have siete, siete, ocho, ocho, nueve, nueve, and diez, diez. There you go. Those are the numbers from 1 to 10. Next, we have once, once, doce, doce, trece, trece, catorce, catorce, quince, quince. All right, so there you go. From 11 to 15, you can see that they all have se in the end, right? Next, we have dieciséis, dieciséis, diecisiete, diecisiete, dieciocho, dieciocho, diecinueve, diecinueve, and veinte, veinte. Now, for numbers from 16 to 19, you will see another special characteristics. We have the 10 in the beginning. So you just have to know the number 6 until 9 in Spanish and just add 10 in the beginning, and that's 16 until 19. 16, 17, 18, and 19. And then here comes the 20, which is 20. Okay. Next. 30 is 30. 30. Now we will go tens. Now by tens. We will go by tens in counting this time because next we have 40. 40. 50. 50. We also have 60. 60. And we have 70. 70. For 80, we have 80. 80. 90 is 90. 90. So now you can see the characteristics of having the enta in the end, right? From ocho, it's the number 8, and you want to count or want to say 80, it's 80. From siete, that's number 7, correct? Siete, you want to count or say 70, setenta. It's not sietenta, huh? Just remember, it's not sietenta, setenta. Also with nueve. What is nueve? 9, correct. Nueve. If you want to count and say 90, it's noventa. Right? So there are some little changes in the spelling. You have to look carefully on those, okay? Now, yes, you would ask me, what about if you want to count 21, 22, 35, 99, all these numbers? Yes, we can do that. And if you already know the numbers that I have given you previously, then you can already count this without actually memorizing it because this is now 21. So I would like to annotate that. Okay, so let's check the formula now. No, formula is 20 plus 1 equals 21. It's just like you're adding numbers, right? That's why it's 21. Now, another example. We have 99, which is 99. Okay? So for the rest, except 20, if you want to count the 20s, you just have to connect the two words, okay? But for the rest, you have, for the rest from 30, from 30 above, you have to add E. It's this one right here. Please add this one. Okay, E. All right, 30 above, 31 above is add E. Okay, now 90 is 90 and 9 is 9. So 90, 90, and 9. That's the literal translation of that. 90 and 9 is 99. Okay, 99. And of course, for 100, that is 100. Okay, 100. And we will stop there. I would only require you to memorize and know the numbers from 1 to 100. Okay, now let's cite some more examples. Let's say 35. Okay, so we have here, as you can see, 35. Now, let's use this because as I've said, we will be using this, no? Because as I've said, you have to add E for numbers 31 above. Okay, so what is 30 if you can remember? What is 30? 30. Yes, muy bien. 30. E, and what is 5? 5. Yes, exactly. So, 35. As easy as that. Just have to combine them now, okay? Now, let's have 22. Okay. What about 22? Okay. 22 now here is, what is 20? 20. And what is 2? 2. So, again, you don't put E. You just have to connect the two words, 22. Okay, so there you go. Please practice more on that. We will be having a quiz tomorrow, okay? We will be having a quiz via Canvas Studio, okay? So I will be posting a video where I will be telling and saying the numbers, and you will have to write those numbers in numerical form. It's the same with telling the time, because now we will proceed with telling time. I will be saying the time, and you have to write the numeric format of that time. Okay? So this is to practice how well do you know the Spanish numbers, as well as how well can you understand, no, by listening. So this is to test your listening skills. That will be for the quiz. All right. So please, if you're watching this, don't take this for granted. Study right away. Memorize if you haven't yet. Memorize the Spanish numbers already. Okay. Now, let's clear that. So before we go to telling time, these are some questions wherein knowing Spanish numbers will be really helpful. We have ¿Cuántos años tienes? We've already learned that previously. How old are you? And you are able to say your age, no, in Spanish. That's really good. Muy bien. And one more thing. ¿Cuál es su número de teléfono? ¿Cuál es su número de teléfono? Please practice telling your number, your mobile number, no, using Spanish numbers. Okay. ¿Cuál es su número de teléfono? For example, let's just create a number. No, it's a fake number. 0927-585-2436. Okay. So this is hypothetically, or for example, my number. ¿Cuál es su número de teléfono? Someone asked me. Then I will tell my mobile number, which is 0927-258-5236. Okay. Again. And just a practical tip, if you're telling your mobile numbers, please, maybe it is much better to say it by group. So you can tell it by group of 2 numbers together, and then pause, and then 2, or by threes. No. So let's group it by threes. So, ¿cuál es su número de teléfono? 092-758-524-36. Right? I group it by 3 in the beginning, not 333, so that the one who is writing will not get confused, no? Okay? So, please, it's your turn. Let's take a pause after I ask you and practice the Spanish numbers. ¿Cuál es su número de teléfono? Muy bien. All right. And please keep practicing that. Feel free to rewind this video. And yeah, feel free to rewind this video until you feel that you're already confident to count in Spanish. Now, we'll be using all of that in telling time. Decir la hora. Okay, decir la hora. Decir is to tell. La hora is time. Decir la hora. Okay, la hora, as you can see, hora is time, and basing it from our last topics, what is now the gender of time or hora? Is it masculine or feminine? Muy bien. Yes, it is feminine, as you can see in the article that we have used here. La. La is always an indication of a feminine article, okay? La hora. Now, before we proceed to actually telling the time, I would just like to discuss or to say that in Spanish, there are so many words that can be translated, no, to time in a literal translation or other meanings, no. Again, in Spanish, time can mean or can have so many words. Now, it is depending now on how you use it in the sentence or how you actually mean it. Okay, so I'll be giving you two more other examples or two more other words that means time in Spanish. Okay, but there are for sure a lot more. We have here el tiempo and la vez. Okay, el tiempo is the time, but they have a different gender. Okay, el tiempo. It's now masculine. But what could this time in el tiempo mean? Now, the time in el tiempo means now a period of time. Okay, it means a period of time. It's a specific period of time. When, no? For example, I'm going to give you an example sentence, no? Me gusta, no? Me gusta pasar tiempo en la playa. Okay? From the last discussion, me gusta, okay? What could this mean, me gusta again? Me gusta means muy bien. Me gusta means I like. Okay. And we have a new verb here, pasar. Okay. Pasar means spend. Okay. It means now spend. Tiempo is time, as we've said. En la playa. Now, what is la playa? La playa is now muy bien. It's the beach. Okay, so me gusta, I like. Pasar is to spend time, tiempo, in the beach, in la playa. So here we're talking about time, but not the clock or the hour, but the period. When do you want, or it's the period, it's the notion of time. And that time that you would use to spend in the on the beach, okay? So that's another thing. That's another meaning of, that's another translation of time in Spanish. Now let's go to la vez. Time here now means instance, no? As in instance or occasion. Okay, occasion or instance. What do we mean by that? Let's cite some example sentences. We have la última vez or la primera vez, no? La primera vez and la última vez. We also have otra vez. Otra vez. What are these? La primera vez is first time. La última vez is the last time. Add that there, okay. Otra vez. Otra vez now means here, this is what I usually or always say whenever I teach dance and I want them to repeat it again, or we will repeat it again, and that means once again, okay? Okay, or again, one more time, something like that. So one more time. Otra vez, once again. Okay, so this time here that we're talking about, the translation of that in Spanish is la vez, and it's not la hora, okay? But it means time in English. Yes, and these are just some of the Spanish translations of time. Oh, there are some other words more. But again, for the purpose of this discussion or this module, we are only using la hora, okay? La hora here means time, the hour, or o'clock, okay? Time as in the hour. So for the purpose of this discussion, we only be focusing on la hora. Don't worry. Okay, but it's important that you know these other meanings of or other words of Spanish time. Okay, right. Next, the question now that we have to ask, no, if you want to know the time is ¿qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? Repita, por favor. ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? Muy bien. All right. Now we will now learn how to tell time in Spanish. Now hang on tight, hang in there because there might be a handful of rules that you have to really know and understand. So please listen carefully. Okay? So let's begin. When answering the question, you use the singular conjugation only for 1 o'clock, noon, and midnight. What is this singular conjugation that we are talking about? This is now the S. Okay. All right. This is now the S. Es la una, of course, because it is singular. One is singular, no? Es la una. And please take note. Let's now look at this. Why is it la? La, because la hora. La hora, time in Spanish, the clock, the hour in Spanish is feminine, okay? So it's taking the feminine gender. So we will always use the article la, the feminine article la, okay? But this is only when we use singular conjugation. Es la una. Una, no? And remember una, and it's not uno. We all know one is uno, but since we are using feminine article, then it follows, no? It should have this ending as well. La una, no? Es la una. That is 1 o'clock. Now, there's another way to say 1 o'clock in Spanish, but we will be discussing that later on. Just focus on this important concept that we are using es, the singular conjugation es, and of course, the feminine article la. What about if it's noon or if it's midnight? Okay, so es mediodía. Día is day and medio is middle. Okay, it's the middle of the day. So medio here is middle, right? So it's the middle of the day. That's why it's mediodía. If it's midnight, of course, we all know now, noche is night. So es media noche. Okay. That's why we have the concept of medianoche during New Year, I believe, no? Yeah. During New Year's Eve, we have medianoche because we celebrate it right on the middle of the night where we welcome the next first day of that new year. Oh, I miss that. So it's es medianoche. Okay, so now let's go to plural conjugation son. Now we are going to use son when we are, sorry, it's not, when we are talking about the time from 2 o'clock onwards. Okay, from 2 o'clock onwards, we are going to use now son. That means if it's 1:59, well, we will still use the singular conjugation es. Es la 1:59, basing it from how we count, no? Es la 1:50, 59. Okay, so this is how we would say this. Es la 1:59. All right, so that is 1:59. Es la 1:59. But when it comes to 2 o'clock, this time we are now counting and using son. Son las dos. Now, what do we have here? We have now es became son and la become las because it's plural. We are now talking about plural. So son las dos. Okay, son las dos. It's 3:30. Son las 3:30. Okay, we have now some special words here. Y media. Media is half hour. So it's 3:30. Son las 3:30. Or there are two ways to say. You can also say son las 3:30. Of course, how you count or how you say 30 in Spanish, right? So now I am presenting you two ways on how to tell time. Okay, son las 3:30. You use that, or son las 3:30. Okay. If it's 4:15, you can now say son las 4:15. Another special word here. Son las 4:15. Okay. 1/4. Okay. It's a 1/4. That's why it's cuarto. Every 15 minutes. Okay. So son las 4:15. So 15 is cuarto. No? Or using the Spanish numbers, son las 4:15. Right? Next, we have 45. 4:45. Now, you are now seeing a new word here, menos. Okay? There's no more E. Okay? Why is there no more E? The letter Y. Why is there no more E? The Y now becomes menos. Why? Because if you're telling time from past 3:30 or 4:30, no? Like 4:31 onwards, 32 onwards, 33 onwards, no? But basically 31 onwards, then you are now using menos because there could be a little bit of addition subtraction here, no? You have to subtract now how many minutes are left before the exact hour, okay? So let's take a look at this. It's son las 5. Why is it 5? Because that is now the next hour, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock comes next after 4, but you have to subtract now. Subtract menos. Subtract how many minutes? We say 15. Every 15 minutes is cuarto. So you have to subtract now 15 minutes. That is menos cuarto. Las 5 menos cuarto. That's another way to tell time. Okay. Or you can say son las 5:15, the normal 15. Or, of course, we have the traditional one, son las 4:30. y 40, 40 y 5. Now you choose whichever way you want or format you want to tell the time. It's up to you. Okay. Or you can use all of it. Okay. But just take note, in this particular example, there are 3 ways of saying or telling the time. It's son las 5 menos cuarto, son las 5 menos 15, or son las 4:45. Okay, and another example, we have 5:10. We go back now to the other side of the clock. It's 5:10, son las 5:10. A bit easier, no? So I hope you understand how to tell time now, no? You have an idea? It takes practice. We have more examples here. It's 6:50 is son las 7. 7 o'clock is the next hour after 6. Minus, you have to subtract 10 minutes, right? So, 7 menos 10. Okay, son las 7 menos 10 is 6:50. Or, without minus, addition, subtraction, son las 6:50. Right? Now, if you would ask me, what about, ma'am, if you want to say 7 a.m. or p.m.? All right, so you have to use now de la mañana, de la tarde, or de la noche right here, as you can see, right? So if you want to say it's 7 a.m., son las 7 de la mañana because it's in the morning. If it's 3 p.m., son las 3 de la tarde, or son las 15 because in the 24-hour format, it is 15 o'clock. And 15 o'clock is son las 15. Please remember that. Okay. We also have it's 6 p.m. or son las 6 de la noche or son las 18. Here now we are using 24-hour format. Okay. So the 24-hour format. It's up to you again, whatever you want to use. If you're more comfortable using the 12-hour format, then just say son las 3 de la tarde. If you're comfortable using the 24-hour format, then you have to count from 12 onwards, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, until 24. And you have to say son las 15, son las 18, son las 19, son las 20. Okay, all of this, right? We also have it's 12 noon, son las 12 de día. There's another way of saying that again, 12 noon. What is that again? I've just discussed it earlier. What is it? It's called the middle of the day. Es mediodía. Correct. Es mediodía. Right? And it's midnight, son las 12 de la noche. There's another way also. Is the middle of the night is medianoche. All right, es medianoche. Good, muy bien. Now, we have here some visual examples so that you won't have a hard time understanding or grasping the concept that I just said. We have here en punto. It's another way to say exact hour. For example, es la una en punto, 1 o'clock. En punto is o'clock. Okay. Y 5, y 10, y cuarto, y 20, y 25, y media. Now, this is what I'm saying. Past media, you have to minus or subtract. Menos 25, menos 20, menos cuarto. It's the same on the other side, but now you change to menos, okay? Menos 10, menos 5. Okay? Don't forget, y media is the half hour. And again, just recap for AM and PM, you can use de la mañana or de la tarde, right? De la noche as well. Okay? You can choose whichever you want to use, 12-hour format or 24-hour format during our quiz. It's okay. Now, ¿qué hora es? Let's have an example, no? It's a drill for you guys. ¿Qué hora es? Can you figure and can you tell me what time is this? No, looking at this time. ¿Qué hora es? Pause this video and take time. No, you can again rewind the video and check no if your answers are correct or you are on the right track. No, so what could be this time? ¿Qué hora es? Okay. Again, it's not one, so it's two, meaning it's plural. We are using now son, las, because they're both plural, no? Plural conjugation and plural article, son las. What is two? Dos. Okay. Let's try to use it with the traditional one. Y, son las dos y 35, 30, 5 y 5. Good. That's one way to read this time. There's another way, which is using the menos. Let's try to use menos. Son, las. What is the next after 2? 3. Correct? So that is, what is 3? Son las tres. What do we use again? Menos. Correct. Muy bien. And how many minutes before 3 o'clock? So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes before 3 o'clock. So what is 25? Son las 3 menos 25. Menos 25. Now let's check if it's correct, okay? Menos 25 is there. Menos 25. Muy bien. Muy bien. All right. So now you're able to tell the time. No, whatever time I show you. Good. All right. So again, as a recap, you have here the special vocabulary. Y media, y cuarto, de la mañana, de la tarde, de la noche. And punto is sharp. Menos is until. You know the concept already. 3:15 is son las 3:15. You can say that. Or y 15. No? 8:30 son las 8:30. Media is half hour. 12 a.m. is son las 12 de la mañana and it is medianoche. No? It's medianoche, middle of the night. 12 p.m. now is son las 12 de la tarde or es mediodía. Okay? Gracias por su atención. That's our module 6. And I really do hope you study your lessons. You've taken some notes and please practice telling time because I will be posting tomorrow your quiz and that would be virtual quiz. Okay, that will be through the video. I will be recording a video and I will be saying the numbers and the time. So it's up for you to really listen carefully and so you can give the correct answer. All right. Any questions? If you have, please don't hesitate to message me via Canvas. Thank you so much again and see you all on the next meeting. Que tengas un buen día. Ciao. Adios.